We start the second session with two very distinguished professors. Our first speaker is Professor Mahmud Erol Kılıç, professor from Kadınları University, who is talking about a very, very important topic, which is secular constitution of man in Chinese. Now, man, there is a verse in the Quran which says that, does he who walk on all fours with his head down, is he more on the straight path, or does he who stands erect? It is man. Man has an erect position symbolically towards heaven, toward the sky, heaven. Man is hierarchical. Man is not horizontal. Man today has become too horizontal. He has lost his vertical, symbolically vertical dimension. Now this idea also of hierarchy, of being, grades of being and grades of knowledge, which go together, different grades of knowledge and different grades of being, which are very, very important in Islamic thought. Now the word hierarchy itself is very important. It's a Greek word, comes from hieros arche, means sacred order, the main meaning of sacredness of being. That being is the presence of heaven, presence of God, and where God is present is sacred, and He's present everywhere. I don't think that God is absent from anything. He's never absent. Heaven is never absent from everything, so everything is sacred. Now, this septenary, that is 7 levels. God speaks of 7 heavens, 7 earth, and man has 7 levels, which is nafs, sad, qalb, ruh, sir, khafi, akhwa, and also the 7 which correspond to 7 levels of the meaning of the Quran. So each one is vague unto the other. One should pass through this. So we have a very, very interesting lecture by a distinguished professor, Professor Mahmud Erol Kılıç from Pekin Universitesi, entitled Septenary Constitution of Man in Chinese and Sufi Traditions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Actually, you have summarized what I will speak here, so you finished already what I said. Thank you very much. Let me begin with the Sufi phrasing in the morning. Sufi says, sabah şerifler hayır olsun, şerler def olsun, hayırlar feth olsun. Let this morning time brings us, all of us, goodness. This is a Sufi praying of time, Sufi praying. When Sufis start to speak, always they were greeting the time first, and they were saying that let this morning time bring all of us goodness, and let the door of goodness be opened, and let evil be away from us, inshallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the way of understanding of modern times problem, especially Muslim world's problem today, I deeply believe that the analyzing of the case of changing of traditional worldview of hierarchy, as Professor Alwani rightly mentioned, will be able to helpful for us in many ways. The traditional understanding of the world was based essentially on the idea of multiple states of being. In that worldview, God considered alone was unique and the essence of unity. When He created things, He created them by shaping and breathing in them according to their needs and according to scale, according to Nisan. This creation was continued, stage by stage, from unity to multiplicity. from upper to low, or in other words, from subtlety to concrete density, from inner to outer, from al-batin to al-zahir, from al-batin al-butun or butun al-butun to azhar al-zahir. Since this hidden primordial treasure, his creation continued up to now in same manner. He is in action in every moment. God's breath runs through thanks to helpers, Sari to helpers, and Sar. These helpers are God's words, Kelima. By them, by Kelima, by words, God helps his religion and makes his religion manifest. All divine lucy of descent, manzil in the universe, things other than God became manifest from this local of descent. This is called the locus of descent of breath of compassionate, nefes rahmani. Nefes rahmani with the comparison with Buddhism, breath of God. The breath of compassion has aspects specific to all genera, species, and individuals in the universe. This is why form, spirit, and divine help are required for the universe. Thus, multiplicity, kasra, and differences became very nature of this created world. Whether physical or spiritual, everything in this realm is not out of this character. This ontological graduation feeds the epistemological gradation as well. That means that there are degrees in the knowledge, as well as in whom possessing it in the limits of this realm. More practically, if we look at the fundamental sources of Islam, we can come across with many Quranic verses and prophetic sayings referring this perennial truth, such as in Quran God says, "Who goes deeper in knowledge, وَالرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ," who goes deeper in knowledge, which means there is a deepness in knowledge. There is appearance in knowledge and deepness in knowledge. Oh my God, one of the verses, oh my God, increase me in knowledge. Rabbi zidni ilman, which means there is a increaseness in knowledge, which means there is epistemological levels of understanding and appearance of the religion as well in this manifested world. In this manifested world, religion also manifested inside this character. There is a levels of the appearance of religion. From this point, I will try to come why this modern Muslim world became only one-dimensional, mostly political, ideological aspects of religion. Why they lose the inner meaning, the other levels of the religion, which constitute seven levels of the religion, compared with the 7 levels of the nafs, ego. So each level has their understanding of religion, so-called, in this case, Islam. Because we have limited time here, 20 minutes, before the ring is bearing, I think I will have to focus only on the Islamic aspect, but I fully agree with the comparative study of Chinese philosophy, Chinese religious philosophy, starting from Taoism, Confucianism, Chinese Buddhism, and also as we learned from his masterly article from Dr. Kristen Peterson's article just recently appeared in Journal of Sufi Studies, he pointed out, he showed us that, which I didn't know before, actually, I must confess, Sino-Muslim thinkers such as Wang Du, yeah, maybe I pronounce his name is wrong, he translated some of the Sufi texts into Chinese and some Kubrawi text mainly, and he made a comparison between those 3 levels of heart and subdivided into 7 levels of the heart with the comparison of the Sufi text, Sufi understanding of the 7 constitution of man, septenary constitution of man. What attracts my attention, what actually it is very important issue, all the terminology, Sufi terminology was translated into Chinese equivalent ones. This is very important. Even though we are translating some books from Arabic and from Persian into Turkish, for example, we are preserving the names as originals. Khafa, Khafi, Kalb, Sır, Ruh. But with your permission, Peterson, for example, animal heart, human heart, and true heart, and these 3 levels subdivided into 7 levels, and first level, as Wang Dayu says, level of desire is Yupin, level of wisdom is Zipin, I don't know how to pronounce it, level of benevolence, Rampin. This is first found. Yupin is equivalent to sadr, the breast. The Zipin equivalent to heart, for example. So on and so forth. He is continuing in his article, very scholarly way. As Professor Awani mentioned at the beginning, and also during the coffee break when we were talking with him, because I know him for a long time from Tehran, what he is doing here when I asked, and he said that he is doing comparison between some Sufi understanding of Islam with the Chinese thought. This is very important actually. If we choose some themes, some metaphysical and thematical approaches of Sufism, and to find equivalence in Chinese thought, it could show us, it could help us to understand the unity of religions or unity of divine message inside the multiplicity, inside the different appearances. Although one of them it was written in Chinese language, the other one in Arabic or in Persian, but the meaning has some similarities. As Toshihiko Izutsu, in his masterly book, when he was comparing with Taoism and Sufism, he showed us the possibility of doing this. So we can continue from this approach, from this point of view, to show the inner meaning or inside the unity of the religion of China and Islamic esotericism. We need to do so because especially Muslim world, as I told you at the beginning, a younger generation in Islamic world, they are far away from this traditional understanding of Islam, which is very dangerous now. I will try to, maybe at the end of my speech, if I have time, I will try to show how they create this giant now in Islamic world, monster in Islamic world, 20 years old, 22 years old, and just 6 months ago became religious and became religious authority and to decide to kill someone or to do something. He became judge on the behalf of God and do an action and to show very badly the Islamic religion to the others. So I don't want to say horizontally where they came from. Of course, maybe they were created somewhere, but I am vertically interested in this subject. Vertically, you can create this kind of young generation in every religion. Even in Buddhism, peaceful religion, but some Buddhist monks in Myanmar, they follow the same approach, and they create from this peaceful religion a militant, a fundamental approach of Buddhism, and they try to kill some Muslims there. From Judaism you can create. From Christianity during the Middle Ages, Crusades, we know, we witness very well how fundamental approach of Christianity we saw. So now is Muslim fundamentalism. So all of them, all these kind of fundamental approaches of religions are based on same roots. What is this? The lack of hierarchy. If you if you make uniformity of religion, unity and uniformity is completely different. Unity is something else, but uniformity to deny the upper levels and to push religion or squeeze the religion inside one and lower level. According to Islam, is level of Sharia. But in Islam, we learned from Sufis. They said that the level of Sharia leads you to the level of tariqah. And from the level of tariqah, you can enter the level of ma'rifah, knowledge. Then you can reach the level of hakika, the reality. So, if you look at the Sufi books, they say that Sharia, Tariqah, but those two are relative. It is not complete, it is not absolute. Even Sharia is not absolute. Tariqah also is not absolute. Those two are ways to lead you to gnosis and to being, to hakika, to truth. If those two, the first two, forget the goals. What was the goals? Ilahi anta maqsoodi wa razaqta maqlubi. The goal is to reach God, to know ourselves and to reach God. Because we were with Him, then we forgot. Nesiya, then we became insan. So we forget it. We are trying to remember it through the zikr. We are trying to remember. So even the Sharia, all follower of the religions, any kind of external forms of the religions are not absolute. Tariqah, any path, following my Sufi friends, they are following, this is not absolute. This is also relative. You can choose one of them, which one is suitable for you, you can, but don't propagate your Sufi way. Okay, just keep it secret. Just show me the gnosis, show me the hakika, which you gained, you obtained through those instruments, which is tariqah. Well, there is a symbolism of these 4 levels of religion, and compared to the 7 levels of the human beings in Islam, سبع سماوات طباقا, there is a 7 heavens and مثلهن في الأرض, the mirror effects of those 7 skies inside the earthly level, and also God's breath. يتنزل الأمر بينهن. God's breath or amal or action still continue between those levels. Well, I would like to, because I heard this, so let me finish with the word from Sheikh Niazi, which I love him too much. He says that in English, "Oh, fundamentalist, you think that you will be saved by only performing religious practices as fasting, praying, and pilgrimage, but you forget that in order to be a perfect man, you need more. The results you need. You need special knowledge. You need ma'rifah." Thank you very much.
Thanks, Professor Kılıç, for a very, very good lecture. And as Professor Kılıç mentioned, that is horizontality. Without verticality, even religion is very dangerous. I remember a saying I read somewhere from Lao Tzu that in the end of times, everything noble becomes ignoble. Is everything vertical becomes horizontal. And that would be very dangerous in religion. I hope that and the perfect man has all the levels, and his presence is the greatest barakah and the greatest blessing of God. Now, our next speaker is Seyhan, and she's talking, and he's talking, about a very interesting subject, which is mentioned in the Fusus on many interpretations, and it's about China. In the second phase, the second ringstone, which is about Seth, Shis. Prophet Shis was the son of Adam when Cain murdered